Season's greetings all, man. Just wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and the best of wealth and happiness for the new year coming through. You're back for I think we're on episode 6 now of season 1. The book we're reading is attached. It's your fully booked cast. It's myself, Mace.
Myself, French.
Myself, Pox.
And if you've been following us, we're now doing the book review for the book attached. And just detailing what it's meant to us, what the book's meant to us, what it's meant to our fans, to our followers, and how the book has helped to transform our thoughts on relationships and more specifically attachment styles.
So the last we concluded on how to make secure principles work for you and things of that nature in the last episode. So this is going to be, we're just going to go through the epilogue and give our own individual book reviews on how we feel. One of the first points, it's literally the start of the epilogue that I think was quite poignant. For us, the most important take-home message from this book is that relationships should not be left to chance. Relationships are one of the most rewarding of human experiences, above and beyond other gifts that life has to offer. In fact, one study found that 73% of over 300 uni student participants were willing to sacrifice the majority of their goals in life for a romantic relationship. With that, I want to ask you guys, would you, going back to your uni days, have been willing to sacrifice the majority of your goals for a romantic relationship?
Do you mind if I chime in first?
Don't think I'll be able to stop you. Go on, Fox.
No, I said obviously because usually you go first. I thought that was interesting. When I first read that part, the first thing I wrote on my notes was incredible, for a couple of reasons. A, I think we're in a day and age where I think people are a bit more centric or centric to their goals as such, in that, centric to their goals in that obviously they don't really want to sacrifice too much in aim of their goals. So the fact that the study was centered around university students who obviously are a bit youthful, I'm quite surprised that they would actually sacrifice their goals in exchange for a relationship. I'm a bit taken back, if I'm honest. I was really surprised in that obviously you're going to university to get education, but at the same time a qualification. So at that point, particularly in time, you're quite focused on a goal as such. You want to come out, you want to get some work, you want to get some money, and then from there you've got some aims and objectives obviously that you've got as such. So I was a little bit surprised that people were willing to at that point.
But would you?
At that point, if I look back, I think I would have, and the reason why I say so because I was a year or so older than my actual my year group. So I think I would have at the time.
Sacrifice your studies for a relationship?
No, my studies. You're talking about your goals.
Yeah, your goals.
Actually, you know what? So I'm thinking of compromise. All right. That when you asked me that question just there, I was thinking of compromise. Actually,
big man think. You're gonna sacrifice everything.
No. I'll answer.
Let him answer.
Answer.
If that's what he wants to do, because as you said, 73% of over 300 uni students said they would. So it must be some kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
At that, as a university student, no. And the reason why I say that is because you've got your whole life ahead of you. You actually don't know whether you've actually met that person as in terms of actually being the one. As in now, I think I also matured, experienced life a little bit, and kind of understand what it means to actually be happy as such. And even attaining goals, although there is a huge sense of joy, I'm not too sure how long that joy will last. I think as human beings, I think we set goals, we set tasks. Once they've been attained, we kind of like brush them to the side and we move on, kind of thing. Whereas in terms of having a relationship, there's almost like an eternal happiness. And that's why I paused for a moment as such. As a university student, I don't think I would have done so at this moment in time. I'm actually considering some of my life goals in I don't want to say in comparison to other things that I feel are a bit more oh god, how would I even word it? I'm actually considering some of the goals I've had for the past 5-10 years, and not that I can't attain them, but I'm looking at things a little bit different as I get a little bit older.
Yeah, of course, that's natural. So bottom line is you wouldn't sacrifice your majority of your goals whilst in uni.
No.
What about you, Mace? Thinking back then.
Yeah, back then. So I think I've made no secret of the fact that in my first couple of years, in fact throughout uni, I was involved in a very intense relationship, And I remember, I think I even made this point before. I can't remember if it was off air or on air, but we're fully booked. Plug. Full_E_book. Plugged. Instagram plugged. Twitter plugged. Anyway, I've made this point that like I was in a pretty deep relationship or intense relationship, and even that couldn't prevent me. How can I put it? Even though I spent a lot of time with my partner at the time, with my other half, and we've done a lot of stuff together, I still knew I need to get up and go and try and get an education to help better my future. Do you know what I'm saying? Because after high school, I was okay. I was academically okay at high school, but then after high school, I don't know if the same thing happened to you, man. But I just got sick of the whole we call it Monday, everything, bruv. So I remember I went to my sixth form, dropped out. Went to a college, dropped out. To the point where I wasn't a bum. I was never a bum because if I wasn't studying, I was working. It wasn't a case where I was sitting at home. But I was just like, rah. And it was only when a couple of my guys, my close guys, when I've dropped out of college twice and they're getting set for uni, and I'm like, rah, I haven't even done the college thing yet. Anyway, like that's when I done the college thing. But then at uni now, I was with someone all the way through, and even though I spent a lot of time with them, we're very together, that couldn't prevent me. I'd still get up in the morning and say, boom, going to do my studies, whatever. So answer is no, I wouldn't sacrifice. I don't want to say goals because I didn't really have goals at that point. Obviously a goal was to get a degree or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't have like lifelong goals, that makes sense. So I would say sacrifice my studies or my possible future well-being. I think now, like, because I think first, to clarify goals, I think it's important for individuals to have goals because it can give you a sense of purpose in life. It doesn't matter how small or big those goals are to you, they just have to be goals. That gives you a sense of purpose. It could actually stop people from going a bit crazy when you start thinking about what's life about, why am I, do you know them kind of things? It just, if you have a goal, it keeps you focused, which is why I think it's important to try and set goals. If you achieve them, not fair enough, but try and set some, try and work towards it to give you a sense of focus and direction to keep you just mentally sane sometimes, I think. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that are. But, sorry, I'll come back to you.
That's fine.
I can't hear before. But now I know for a fact, I do believe, and I say this as well, even if you look at the animals and the insects, they reproduce. Their hair, we don't know what their purpose is, what they're here for. The bees go and gather honey or whatever. They got their own little jobs that's inbuilt in them. But one of the things they've got is to reproduce. And I feel like they're doing that naturally, like that comes to them. I'm not judging anyone's sexuality, but to me, I just look at it as, okay, they're doing it, that's my job to kind of find someone we're supposed to be compatible and in order to, you know what I'm saying, reproduce and whatnot. So I would sacrifice any future goals that I have in order to have that experience. You know what I'm saying? If I had a little one or whatever with someone that I really cared about. So yes, I'm willing to sacrifice kind of lifelong dreams or ambitions that I may have in order to have that. But at the same time, if I don't have that, I'm still gonna work towards. You know what I'm saying? So, P, what was your thought?
So no, I don't want to say I would have been the exception, but I think from the age of definitely at uni, because I was 18, 19, even 20, obviously 20 at that time as well. I think I've always known what I've wanted to do and always known what I've wanted to attain. So in terms of compromising or making a decision, you know what, I want to be obviously full-time in this relationship and kind of like sacrifice my goals in terms of making this relationship work. It might have been a little bit difficult, whereas I don't think everybody actually knows what they want to do. All they want to know is, all they know is, you know what, I get this education, I get this qualification, and I'm about to get this money. But in terms of actually having goals, some people might not necessarily have them in that, and then it puts them into the situation where I know 73% have said that they would sacrifice their goals in terms of relationship. But how many of those people actually had real, I'm talking about like concrete goals. So that's the point I was just going to add.
Good point.
You know, it even leads on, there's a point in the epilogue, which you're probably going to touch on, French, but there was a statement I took down where it says, love is not enough. And I think that's love is not enough.
Yeah, we had that. And that was one of the first things we discussed in the first episode. It's in the epilogue as well. And I think that says it all, in that you're willing to sacrifice your goals for a relationship. Love's not enough, brethren. You need to, like, what about when money's tight? What, you two living on the street and you think love and you think sacrificing your goals is a good idea? Yeah, well, again, when you're in uni, I think you're a bit of an idealist and you've got kind of your thought process is a lot different to when you come out of uni and you kind of go into the workplace and the real world, so to speak. So, as P said, your perspective is going to change.
Well, I know the answers already, but same questions posed to you, French. would you be willing to sacrifice your goals for this?
Nah, I keep it 100 though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Even probably now, I wouldn't. I'd probably be more willing to now, but I still wouldn't. I'm still in that mind frame of I've got my goals and I intend to achieve them, and that's that.
Do you know what's mad? So Christmas Eve, I think this is episode's going on after Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I was with my one of my brethrens basically at a friend's house, and we was talking. And he's in the music industry, and he's got like, I don't know if I say his name ever, but he's got like someone that he's been in an on and off situation for several years, isn't it? And he was telling me like, he told her straight. He said, "Look, like, care about you. I see my future with you. Like, you're the one. I don't see anyone else. But at the same time, if you can't wait for me to achieve what I need to achieve in this music scene, I'm sorry, but the music comes first, and you have to deal with that."
Yeah, I hear that.
So
100%.
Some people, that's how their mindset's set up. And the thing is, the way he explains to me is like, she has to realise I'm doing this for the both of us.
Exactly.
Because if I bust and we're good and I'm good in 4 or 5 years, you're good.
Exactly.
See,
100%.
I'm semi-coming from a different perspective, and I know you're talking about your brethren, obviously, who's a male, and obviously the other person obviously being a female. I've done 1 or 2 bits and bobs I'll say in football as such, right? So I've been privileged, but at the same time I've been successful in terms of doing one or two things, all right?
Yeah.
Don't want to go into that, all right? Don't want to talk about football right now. But at the same time, like in backpacking and travelling, there's been times, I want to say there's been 2-3 times in my life where I feel I've been so happy I could have been on drugs. Now seriously, I've been really, I mean honestly,
being high on kind of
high on life, and like where I've not stopped smiling, and for 2-3 days I've been so happy to the point I don't think I've been that happy before. And
what's got you there?
Almost like freedom, and I just feel freedom. We've spoken about this before, sharing your experiences with other people, and I just feel that with that knowledge and that experience, and potentially having to with that question being posed, I look at things a little bit different. You know what? I'd be willing to sacrifice that, which is actually, I don't want to say my goal is material, but that is something which I'm very aware of. I think actually, if I get to where I want to, I think I may have a very similar feeling where I feel high off life and stuff like that. It'd be very an emotional time and stuff like that. But I feel sharing your life with someone, I think that's a long period of time to have that, dare I say, that high off life, eternal happiness. Yeah. And I think I would consider that. Particularly with, I don't want to say, with, I'm a political man, all right. With where the world is going, being happy is more important to me than something that's tangible.
Yeah. I get that.
Spud,
yeah, I get that.
You mean for the purpose of the might be spudded.
High five, guys. All right, cool. So moving on slightly, it goes on, and the authors, because it's the authors that write the epilogue, they mention a romantic movie. It's a boy meets girl kind of movie, typical Hollywood film. I'm not going to go into the full details of the movie. I'm guessing every boy meets girl movie is pretty much the same. Do you know what I mean? But it was just funny that they basically mentioned that they reverted back to their old perspective whilst watching the film, and they go on to say that the first misconception in regards to attachment styles and relationships is that the first misconception is that everyone has the same capacity for intimacy, and as we've read through the book, it's quite clear to see, and I mean, in just between us individually, we have different capacities of intimacy. Do you know what I mean? And one thing that stood out to me after I read that was, when one person's need for closeness is met with another person's need for independence and distance, a lot of unhappiness ensues. By being cognizant of this fact, both of you can navigate your way better in the dating world to find someone with intimacy needs similar to your own, if you're unattached, or reach an entirely new understanding about your different needs in an existing relationship. A first and necessary step towards steering it into a more secure direction. Now, from that, do you think we as a society, from a micro to macro sample, will view relationships differently if in possession of this literature?
I do anyway. I mean, I think. I know we're going to probably talk about give our book reviews obviously a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I think in reading this book, I think I've always been generally aware of other people's feelings and stuff like that. But certainly, I think in the last episode that we did, I think we spoke about. I don't remember the characters in particular, but there was one where the person was shopping, and I think there was also, So there's one there's one where somebody was shopping, and I think there was also one where the guy, I think his place was a little bit messy and didn't want to invite his partner or girlfriend at the time upstairs. Yeah. I think there might have been another example as well. Sorry, I just think I'm generally aware, but I think in reading the book I'm just a little bit more aware in terms of people's feelings and whether it's their emotional needs and just stuff like that, and obviously understanding that it takes two to tango, and it's not necessarily my feelings and things that need to be taken into consideration. Is the person obviously I'm seeing as well, and I think it's my responsibility to actually ensure that person is happy.
Okay, what about you, mate?
About the book attached. So, what in terms of literature?
No, I mean, like, do you think we as society, from a micro to a macro sample level, will view relationships differently if we're in possession of this book or this literature? Yeah,
110,000%.
Okay.
I think I described earlier, I know it's been also, I've described earlier as part of the set and to other people, and people have fed back. This book is the Bible if you are in a relationship and you don't quite understand why you behave in a certain way, let alone your partner.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this book will break ish down to you, and you need to read the book. We are getting no credits, no monetary admissions, nothing for promoting the book. I'm telling you right now, the book is a savior. And I'm telling you right now, and I've said it before, there was a relationship I was in, which I came out of because I didn't understand the person I was with. If I had this book, I'm not saying I'll still be with them, but I would have understood their behaviour rather than just thinking they were loopy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, 100%, this book could save marriages. And I'm not even lying.
No, 100% agree.
Not even lying.
Good point that you make, though, in regards to marriages. It goes further along into the epilogue and explains the second misconception about relationships and attachment styles. Again, that marriage is the be-all and end-all, and a lot of people in society tend to think once you're married, you've done it, you've made it, and that's it. Once you've got married, that's the happily ever after, which is false. It's bullshit. That's not
BS.
That's not the case. And the book, however, displays how mismatched attachment styles can lead to a great deal of unhappiness in marriage, even for people who love each other greatly. And one of the things that I think, one of the points that was...
that's a big statement you just made, you know. You got to emphasise them statements there. Say it again, sorry my brother, but emphasise them statements there, brother.
Yeah, it's how the book displays how mismatched attachment styles can lead to a great deal of unhappiness in marriage, even for people who love each other greatly. Now, I was going to press on to the part in part 3 in regards to Marsha and Greg. I don't know if you guys remember that story.
Very briefly, yeah.
So one was an anxious, one was avoidant in a very unhappy marriage. So that's almost like look, you can get married, it's not going to solve all the cracks. Like, just because you say I do doesn't mean that your story finishes and you all go back to bed and everyone. It doesn't work like that. It's a consistent working. Mace, I know you want to go, so go, bro.
Listen, for the purpose of the podcast, I've got my hand up, patiently waiting. I touched upon a point about 5 minutes ago about goals.
Yeah.
People have, say you've set a goal to get married in the next 2 years. You're so focused on that, any cracks or anything in the relationship that's not right, you're just focused on the marriage. It's the same thing with raising kids. Get them to 18, get them to university. Once that goal's over, right, I'm in a marriage. I'm in a partnership I don't really want to be in. We don't have nothing in common. We're just working towards something.
Yeah,
and it's convenient.
Yeah.
That is my point. That is my point.
It was kind of what I was saying in terms of once you attain that goal, and I think you've pretty much said anyway, you tail off. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that I mean, I think there was something. There's a word in the epilogue. I mean, I've only just found the definition of it. Fallacy. So, which is I think it's a mistaken belief in something, which could be obviously marriage or it could be relationships. And obviously, once you've, as you've just said, once you've got married, you've made it, and all of a sudden you're in this fairy tale land or what have you. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I've
got another point as well, and it was in the epilogue, and it does relate to what you said about about partnerships, marriage, and so on.
Yeah.
So there was a kind of sentence that I took out. A true partnership is where both partners view it as their responsibility to ensure the other's emotional well-being.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that is spot on. Like, to me, when you come together when you form something with someone, you're now one in it. It's almost like, if you're not happy within yourself, view it as if, like, how can I put it? Your partner's not happy. I don't know how to explain properly, but it's almost like, if you're unhappy, view it as your partner's unhappy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, being dependent. It's being dependent on your partner,
right,
and your partner being dependent on you.
Which healthy relationships should have to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's something I was gonna say, to a certain extent, because I mean, even reading through parts of the epilogue, I did find some things, and I'm gonna go into it again when I actually do my book review, but it's not all cut and paste and this is it. Like, there's certain things, because there's certain things that's so ingrained into us. Like, for me personally anyway, like, maybe I'm an extreme avoidant, whatever you want to call it, but I can understand something, but I may not fully be able to put action into it straight away. Do you know what I mean? So when you're saying about being dependent on your partner and your partner being dependent on you, I fully understand that and comprehend that. But will I be able to do that as easily as what you and Mace were able to do? I mean, P were able to do straight away. I doubt that. But it is, again, that's something for me personally I would have to work towards. Do you know what I mean? But the actual premise of it, yeah, I totally get it. I totally agree.
It's funny because, I mean, I know you just mentioned the point in terms of being dependent on another individual, and as at the very end of the epilogue, I think it was. So I read that, and the first thing I thought to myself was, I know a lot of people have this notion that it's really, really important to be independent, and I'm we're all independent people, and I'm sure the listeners are independent people as well. But there's nothing wrong with actually leaning on someone. I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever.
No, not at all. I don't think there's anything
wrong. And I think there's,
wrong
dare I say, actually a fallacy, the word I've literally just found out what it means. There's a real misconception in terms of either the importance or let me think, or even leaning on someone or being dependent on someone is actually looked upon as actually being weak, when that's not necessarily been the case. If you actually need support, I think it's strong of you to actually say you need support. But at the same time, if I'm in a relationship with you, all right, we're together, we're actually in this together. So if I need support and I need emotional support in terms of voicing a concern, or literally just maybe I've had a bad day and I want to voice to someone, then I don't see why that should be a bad thing in any way, shape or form.
No, I don't think that at all.
I know Mason just mentioned something in it was about if your partner is unhappy, it's your responsibility, I think, to make that person happy.
You need to make your partner you make sure your partner be the best they can be at all times.
I was watching a video on Christmas Day. So what Christmas Day? I don't want to go into my Christmas Day. I can do a little bit. So obviously, I had a good time on Christmas. It was very quiet, but at the same time, I thought, you know what? But at the same time, I thought, you know what? I want to do something a little bit funny, and we'll go through some of my little Instagram videos that I saved. Yeah. And some of the videos that I saved the video about a DJ on Hot 97 who was having a conversation with his partner. His partner was upset that he hadn't asked how she was. So I'm assuming she must have been unhappy about something. Yeah. And because he hadn't asked, like, whether things were okay, she voiced her concern, saying that it's his responsibility to ask whether it's every single week whether she's happy as such. And I think his response, which I actually agreed at the time, and probably still do agree with, actually, I agree with both parts, is, well, if you're unhappy, then just say you're unhappy and then say why you're unhappy, so we can actually solve this problem. Yeah. I mean, they have like a little a video vlog and in terms of going back and forth in terms of like their relationship. But I found that very, very interesting. I think if I'm with someone, I would like at times, obviously, we're all I don't want to say a little bit busy, but we can all be taken aback, or our mind can be elsewhere to actually find out actually how your friend is doing or whether your partner is doing. So if you're actually upset, then I would like you to kind of like say so. I'm upset and this is where I need support.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. I think reading this book gives you an understanding where you're each coming from in terms of your attachment styles, and you can tackle this problem from a completely different angle. Now, after reading this book, do you think that everyone is capable of changing their perspectives?
I think everyone's. Have you finished the question yet?
Go Edwards, boy.
I like a headless chicken when I'm ready, Rude Boy. I'll just carry the bat and the torch and just run with it, Rude Boy. Go on, go true.
Yeah, that was the end of the question. Yeah.
Sorry, go on. I know you're keen.
Right. I think everyone's capable. It's whether or not they're willing to. It's hard for people to change habits with any given topic, scenario, lifelong kind of habit. It's hard.
Absolutely.
It's never willing that people are willing to change their habits. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've got a good friend and she's involved in something with a guy that she's really into, and I keep telling her you need to. She'll speak to me about certain scenarios. I say all the messages you need are in the book, and I bought her the book for her birthday. I said everything you asked me, I'm not God. Like literally, I'm just giving you some advice from the book. Everything you need is in there.
Yeah.
She'll go back. She'll read about half a page of the book. Mate, you're so right. You're so right. Like, I said, you've read half a page of the book. You only read half a chapter. Like literally, trust me, read half a chapter. Just trust me, that book will help you with your anxieties and that. Trust me, man, that book there, it can do wonders.
You were talking about earlier, I don't want to go back onto one of your questions in terms of can people micromanage, micro and macro. So that is what I highlighted. I think if you can't see things from a different angle following reading this book, then as Mason said, I know he said people find it difficult to change their perspectives, but I think if you can't see things from a different angle following reading this book, then you, my friend, have problems.
You are the weakest link. You,
my friend, have problems.
Yeah. I'm with the same chain of thought, to be honest with you. I just thought I'd throw that in there quickly. The third misconception: we alone are responsible for our emotional needs. They are not our partner's responsibilities. And funny enough, we just spoke about it being our partner's responsibility. So again, that is a misconception. So brilliant.
Yeah, 100%.
In a true partnership, both partners view it as their responsibility to ensure the other's emotional being. Again, that's further along the line of what we were just discussing. We believe that every person deserves to experience the benefits of a secure bond. When our partners act as a secure base and an emotional anchor, we derive strength and encouragement to go out into the world and make the most of ourselves. He or she is there to help us become the best person we can be, as we are for them. And that kind of concludes that last part of what we were just discussing in terms of being there for our partners and making sure that they are happy and vice versa. You know what I mean? So they can be the best version of themselves. Some of the last things that I wrote down. I mean, if you guys want to jump in at any time,
I'll wait for you to run through. But
the last parts was don't lose sight of these facts, which I think kind of almost these are the highlight reels of the book. So your attachment needs are legitimate. So don't think that you're wrong for feeling the way you feel, regardless if you're secure, avoidant, or anxious. You shouldn't feel bad for depending on the person you're closest to. It is part of your genetic makeup. Again, we've just derived and had that discussion. A relationship from an attachment perspective should make you feel more self-confident and give you peace of mind. If it doesn't, this is a wake-up call. And above all, remain true to your authentic self. Playing games will only distance you from your ultimate goal of finding true happiness. Be with it with your current partner or with someone else. If you guys want to jump in after, then cool, because after we'll each give our individual reviews of the books.
Those last points is exactly what I had kind of noted down. Exactly that, bro.
Okay.
Exactly that.
So I haven't got much to say, but I mean, I thought when reading the epilogue, I think those points were very poignant to me. Above all, remain true to yourself. I think after reading the book, you might potentially feel a bit not wishy-washy, but unsure as to where you fit in as such. But I think just in the main, I think it's very important to remain true to yourself.
Yeah. Cool. Does anyone want to start off with the review of the actual book?
No, just to say you're listening to Fully Booked. For the Instagram, that's full_e_booked. We've got the Twitter profile. We're on the podcast app on the Apple devices. SoundCloud, we're up on that as well. Fully Booked. Is it full_e_booked?
That's correct, yeah.
For SoundCloud. Facebook, we're up.
Oh, sorry, no. For SoundCloud, it's just Fully Booked.
FULLEBBOOKED, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Fully Booked on the SoundCloud. This is the book review, the wrap up for the book Attached, which we've been reading throughout the season 1. It's the last episode, and I just wanted to say our special guest that we had planned, they couldn't make it, weather conditions and that. You don't know what day it is, but it's a bad day for weather. They were coming from afar, couldn't make it, but never mind, we will have special guests on the show going forward. So yeah, who wants to kick off the actual review of their kind of review of the book of season 1?
I mean, I'm happy to. I've got my notes out, so it's cool. In regards, so we'll take it from top to bottom and try and piece by piece. The title, Attached, the new science of adult attachment and how it can help you find and keep love. I mean, the title in itself wraps up the topic in one sentence. It's very clear, it's very concise with its portrayal of the title. In regards to the preface or introduction, there's numerous amount of notes that were derived from the introduction alone, to which initiated numerous talking points to proceed with throughout the book season, such as, do you think it was easier to live and find love in our parents' generation than now in our millennial generation, which I think that caused a lot of continuous conversation on topics from that question alone. That was just from the introduction. It also introduces us to numerous characters such as Tamara and Greg, includes the scientific background research to assist with initial talking points such as the strange situation test, from which a lot of the research is derived from such experiments. In regards to how the book's organised and how it is broken down into different chapters, its contents page is very clear and concise, to the point each section can be read separately depending on what knowledge you want to draw from the book at any given time. It flows from the section to section with a clear beginning, middle and end. Each chapter felt it had come to an end without questions not being unanswered if they were to follow. With that being said, I would give this book 2 thumbs up and some. I think it's a book which will... Sauce! I think it's a book which for me will be read and reread, even as I mentioned, just to check individual topics when and where necessary. It's helped me change my perspective on how I view my behaviour from both points of view. I highly recommend it if you want to grow your relationship perspective, whether in one or not. There's a common theme throughout the book. However, I can see if it's read as a couple, some extracts can be manipulated as to making one partner feeling better than the other, or can give ammunition to create blame. I refer to the avoidant bashing at times. Me being an avoidant, there was quite a few situations where I felt I was getting ganged up upon by my 2 co-hosts, but we'll leave that there. With that being said, if read as a couple with the intention of both growing and an end goal being mutual happiness, it is a brilliant tool to have in your locker. Referring back to a point made in the epilogue, when one person's need for closeness is met with another need for independence and distance, a lot of happiness ensues. By being consistent of this fact, both of you can navigate your way in dating in the dating world to find someone with intimacy needs similar to your own, or reach an entirely new understanding about offering needs in an existing relationship, a first and necessary step towards steering it into a more secure direction. And another thing, that point that I thought was quite good, was understanding that your continual arguments have a hidden subtext to them, and that they are genuinely irresolvable, changes your perception on your own role dramatically. Once you understand that your partner will always find areas of contention as a way of maintaining distance, and that he or she will always need to withdraw, no matter whom she or he is with, you will no longer blame yourself for the relationship problems. Reading through the book after acknowledging the different attachment styles, you would assume the authors were both secure and both hardwired to see the world in strictly attachment styles. It was then refreshing to read in the epilogue that they initially reverted to type whilst watching an old romantic film, meaning even after reading this book, there are things that are hardwired in our brains to cause us to revert to type and react with behaviours we now know aren't beneficial for us in a relationship. Even still, overall, a thoroughly good read and a study tool to self-improve. So I would highly recommend.
Wow, that's an incredible overview. Mine was be dead simple, literally 2-3 bullet points. So I'm glad I'm glad
There's
I'm
no
second.
right or wrong review.
No, of course there's no right or wrong. So I'm actually glad I'm going second, and I think Mason's going to have probably a more lengthy review than obviously than myself.
Hit them with it, father.
I thought the book was incredible. I mean, I think you mentioned 1 or 2 points there which made me think, Jesus Christ, we actually started this book a while ago. There's so much within the book that I've actually forgot that actually was contained actually in the book. I think the book's excellent for someone who's single and possibly dating. I think it gives you an idea of who you are. If you, not that you need clarity, but if you need clarity, I think it gives you a better idea of who you are. And I think certainly whilst you're dating and actually seeing people, it may give you a better perspective of the person actually who you're seeing. I think I highly recommend reading the book if you're in a relationship. I think if you're in a healthy relationship, I'll be very, very surprised if it doesn't make your relationship stronger than it already is. I think it'll make it a bit more open, a bit more honest, and I think you'll find a bit more love there as well. I'm trying to think what else I might have jotted down in regards to actually reading the book. Obviously, I know I've stated obviously I'm a secure person, but I think what the book has actually done for me is allowed me to actually see things a bit more clear. I think I've always been aware of other people's feelings and the way they're thinking and stuff like that, and open to listening to people. But I think in actually reading the book and hearing so many different examples of people's situations, I think that's probably one of the. I think there's loads of different strong points of the book, but the fact that there's loads of different examples in the book of relationships breaking down and stuff like that, I think is give me perspective when actually faced with these situations, what potentially I actually need to do or what I should be doing as such. So that's my review in the book. But again, as you said, I give the book 2 thumbs up.
Cool.
And I'd recommend reading the book more than once actually.
Yeah, definitely. Mace?
Yeah. So my co-hosts have really hit the nail on the head. And then some. But I'm telling you, this book Attached, it's really opened my eyes. I think it's best encapsulated, or my points are best encapsulated by the fact that I can relate it to relationships I've been in, which I don't think you can do from a lot of books, even from TV shows, like them silly soaps that come on TV. They're not realistic. This book hits the nail on the head. Is it parable stories? What do they call them?
Yeah, parables. Yeah,
they hit the nail on the head. And as I said, one of the relationships I was in a year or so ago, just over a year ago, where I didn't understand the person I was with, the kind of DNA, their relationship style or attachment style. This book, I picked it up and I said, my goodness, now I know why they behaved the way they did. Now I know why now I know why in certain scenarios, when I thought they was crazy, they were doing that. And it can help you to understand your partner better. I was at a friend's recently who's read the book twice. On our recommendation, she bought the book. She's read it twice over. She's read it more than us. And now she's trying to get her fiance to read it because she feels like it will help their relationship. She feels like him reading that book will help them to have a long-lasting, happy relationship, and more importantly, help him to understand a little bit the way she gets the reason why she gets how she gets sometimes. She's like practically begging him to read it. She loves the book. Same with a friend I got at the moment who hasn't read the book thoroughly, but anytime she's in a little bit of a crisis or panic within herself, she'll revert back to the book. She'll look at it, she'll read a couple of pages and establish why she feels the way she does or why she behaves. And what she's trying to seek out from the book, seek out within herself, and she'll gain from the book or gather from the book is what she needs to do to calm down her anxiousness when she feels anxious, because that's the next step for her. The book, I think, is great. The authors, it's like a study. I think that what we need to remember is the book's a scientific study, so you're not going to get it bang. It's not be 100% related to all relationships. What they've found from the study, the majority of the relationships will have attachment styles, will have a secure partner, 2 secure partners, will have an avoidant partner, 2 avoidant partners, will have an anxious partner, 2 anxious partners, or in extreme case an anxious avoidant partner, or a match of all of them. So it helps you to establish what kind of partner you might be dating and what to seek out in that partner, or if you're trying to work on your relationship and you realize the type of partner you have. Doesn't matter if you've got a partner who's not secure and fit in the inverted commas the mold of a great person. You can still work with what you've got. It helps you to better understand the relationship you're in. I would recommend this book 100%. And you know what's mad as well? Since we started reading the book, I'm not gonna lie, man, I felt slightly embarrassed at first, but my mother, my aunties, they've all been on the podcast and on the book as well, because they realise it can help. And even I had one of my aunties text me saying, great listening to the podcast, the book's helping me. I'm like, wow. So I'm saying to everyone, get the book. It will help you if you're in a relationship or not. Read the book. Listen to our podcast because we break down the book to everyday life. Leave reviews, leave comments. I just want to say thanks for everyone that supported the first series so far.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone.
No, serious. Thank you. Yeah.
We're going to be back, guys, so we're going to switch the subject up. We can't keep it at relationship styles and love, even though I know you're not of you want us to. We're going to switch it up, and I don't know, are we going to reveal right now? We're going to do a big grand opening in terms of what we're switching it to.
I think we should leave it till next week.
Alright, say no more. But we're switching it up for the new year. We're going to start a completely different topic. The cast are going to get involved physically.
Yeah, everything. Physically, mentally, spiritually. All of that.
It's going to be a new topic. It's going to be it's going to kind of be a hot topic of the moment, and just watch this space. But thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. Keep supporting. Keep checking out our Instagram at @full_e_book. The SoundCloud full e-booked. The Twitter, the Facebook, on the iTunes and that. And yeah, just wishing health, wealth, prosperity, love, goodness, all that good stuff for the new
2018.
year. Yeah.
See you on the other side.
Cool. Take care, guys.